Today's episode is brought to you by Forvis Mazars.
SoundCartel.
From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. For Jim Penman, the man behind the Jim's Mowing franchise, it all began back in the 1980s. Since then, he's expanded Jim's group to multiple divisions, including Jim's Antennas, Jim's Dog Wash, Jim's Paving, Jim's Roofing, and the list goes on. The latest is Jim's Coaching, founded by highly respected life coach Sue Thomas. He says it's a service for everyday Australians, not just for the wealthy or high-calibre business person. Jim explains to Chris Ashmore it's not your typical coaching service.
It's not coaching in how to do something, it's coaching in changing the way that you think. You talk to a person, the coach gets a rapport with them, gets an understanding, and then says, okay, what do you really want to achieve? What are you actually after in life? What your real goals are? And then you work with a person to change their total way of thinking. And it's quite a heavy exercise. It involves a lot of time, a lot of homework, a lot of working through exercise books and so forth. But this lady, Sue's done this with about 200 people, she said, and it has a life-changing impact. And we're just excited to be part of it.
Mm-hmm. Can we go into specifics? What can a life coach do for someone? How does it help anyone?
Well, you go back to what you want to do in life. People just puddle along from day to day and they're focused on their problems and their issues and stuff. You say, what do you really want to achieve? Now, health might be an example. Well, I really, really want to be healthy. Just as an example, you've got to look at what your ideal weight is, which is basically a 22 BMI, body mass index. Mine is 22. And it's always 22. I will not go beyond 22 BMI. That's part of the thing. Half an hour of exercise a day, vigorous at least, plus weightlifting, plus general walking. So you work out what you want to do, you work out what you want to achieve, and you want to work out how to get there. Now, for example, one of the things if you wanted to lose weight is you don't go on a juice diet, for example. Because that's typical yo-yo dieting. What you've got to do is to change the way you think about food. You've got to look at and say, okay, what kind of food do I need to eat? Not just for the next 6 weeks to have this Biggest Loser thing, because that's a terrible idea, because you just gain it back. What do I need to do to change? And that may mean things like, for example, you've got to actually look at everything that you eat and be responsible for that. And then you've got to look at when you eat it, time-restricted eating, for example, another part. And then what's going to keep you in there? What influence do you need? What books do you need to hear? What people do you need to see? You've got to change your whole style of life. You've got to look at the unhealthy ways of thinking. Let's say that the self-critical thinking that's always down on yourself. You've got to think differently. And I just use that as an example, if that was your goal. But your goal might be business success. It might be better relationships with your children, with your family, with your friends. It might be more effectively involving in your local community. I mean, what are your goals? It's not our goals, it's your goals. And then we help you to achieve that. It's a really brilliant program. It's not easy and it's not cheap, but it can be absolutely life-changing.
Uh-huh. You're in your 70s and it doesn't seem that you're slowing down at all anytime soon.
Oh, no. I don't slow down.
What keeps you so energetic?
Obviously health. Like today, I normally do a run in the morning. I do half an hour of the treadmill, plus I do weightlifting, plus I'll be average walk about 5,000 steps a day. I don't count it. I just do it as a normal way of life. I'll always take the stairs rather than the escalator, and I just move back and forth. If I'm making a cup of coffee, I don't make coffee, hot water, I will put the kettle on, and then I'll walk and go do something else, and walk back. If I'm at the dentist, they're late, I'll pace up and down. I don't think I'm crazy, but I always keep active. My diet is about 90% vegetarian, like vegetables, fruit, lots of nuts, that kind of stuff too. So health-wise, really important to eat well, to keep moving, but you've also got to stay engaged. You've got to keep your mind active with different ideas and things like talking books and reading. I would listen to, on average, a couple of books a week. So I'm constantly thinking, and then I'm looking at magazines like The Economist and Atlantic, good quality stuff like that, which goes behind the news. I talk to people. I had some friends I was with at dinner Monday night. We're discussing all kinds of things, current affairs and stuff. So I have an active social life as well. And I'm very involved in my business and I'm very engaged and I feel a sense of purpose in what I'm doing. And time spent outside, very important. I spend many hours a week, especially at the weekend at my farm, gardening, for example. I grow a lot of my own food, for example. Just actively enjoying life.
Mm-hmm. Happiness, that's an ingredient. And you mentioned that earlier. What are the ingredients to happiness?
Well, exercise is better than any antidepressant on the market. I do not believe in pills. I don't even like to take painkillers. I just don't have coffee, don't have tea, just healthy food. Physical activity, really important, far better than pills and chemicals. And then there's the other elements I'm talking about. Health and happiness are the same thing. If you're not healthy, it's difficult to be happy. If you're not happy, it's difficult to be healthy. They really come together. So elements like that, time spent outside, very important. Time in contact with nature, it's called biophilia, it's well recognized. People who go to hospital where they can see the outside will go home quicker than those who can't see the outside. Even being able to see nature through a window is so helpful. Spend time outside in the day, get lots of blue light, healthy blue light. Sleep well, don't eat 3 to 4 hours before you go to bed if you possibly can avoid it. And then social engagement, you've got to be connected. And look, I'm very blessed. I've got an absolutely wonderful wife, 23 years, and I'm crazily, madly in love with her. And we just, I'm so lucky that way.
Yep.
So a really good marriage. And there's just so many things. Alcohol, bad stuff. Drugs, marijuana, bad things. When you indulge in things that give you a surge of dopamine, like alcohol or pornography or anything like that, your dopamine receptors, they damp down. So that's why drug addiction doesn't work. Because you get this surge of dopamine and then the dopamine reacts and becomes less effective and you need more and more to get the same effect. What you do is the opposite. You indulge in things like a little bit of fasting, food restriction. Exposure to cold is really, really good. I do a lot of cold showers and this kind of thing, cold exposure. So you kind of do the opposite. You make life a little bit tough for yourself. You push yourself physically. It's a simple thing, but it's not easy to do. You've just got to be disciplined to do it. But once you do it, that sense of well-being is extraordinary. I'm a really happy, fortunate, lucky person. Spiritual engagement is a really important part of it.
Well, you've done a lot in your life and with your business, but you've still got many things to do. What's the future for you, Jim, and Jim's group?
I have so much to achieve in the next 20 years. That's one reason I cannot afford to be anything less than superbly healthy. I actually do quite simply. My clothes are basically, Kmart, simple stuff. Till just recently, I've never bought a new car in my life. So I live simply. I'm funding my research program for several $1 million a year. That could change the world. It honestly could. It could change the way people think. It could actually help people to overcome so many of the problems that are in our society, the wealth, the urbanization, the corruption, the decay, all the things that are going wrong, and we're going in the wrong direction. I intend to do what I can to reverse that. So that's really important to me. That's probably my major goal. I have a wonderful family. I have 10 kids. I've got 3 grandchildren and 2 more on the way. So that's fantastic. And I love my company too. I mean, Jim's, it's more than a business in terms of making money. It's a moral purpose. There's 5,300 odd franchisees. And I'm directly responsible for those. And every day I'm thinking, how can I help them better? What can we do for them? And we can do a lot for them, particularly with better IT. How can we support them better? How can we reduce the attrition? How can we increase the proportion that are reporting good or satisfactory income, which currently is about 91%. So 9% poor, 91% good. So this 9%, that's too much. What's going wrong? What can we do? Can we choose better? Can we support better? Can we train better? What can we do? That is a very real sense of purpose. And these people aren't abstract because I talk to them every day. I know what they're going through. I make a point of, when we do training, I'll try and greet every single person at least briefly so they know me. So when they've got a problem, they come to me. And I'm able to help them so often. That is a fantastic feeling of meaning. And I also want to be very sure that when I'm gone, and it will happen one day, probably got another 20 years, maybe a bit over, that Jim's is in good hands, that some greedy multinational doesn't come in and rip my people off. That is a big concern of mine. And I'm looking at nurturing some of my children, my partners to my children, to take a role. And I want somebody who's competent but also has got that sense of ethics, who cares about franchisees.
That was Jim Penman, CEO of Jim's Group. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow at BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Forvis Mazars. To find out more, visit forvismazars.com/au. That's FORVISMAZARS.com/au.